Hi everyone, Conrad here. Fantastic to be here. I'm thrilled today to welcome in Andy Reynolds. Just a quick introduction. Andy's worked in financial services for over 25 years, and he spent the last 15 years predominantly providing financial advice to Australians that suffer from serious injuries or illnesses. Andy started his own business 6 years ago with the main focus of helping Australians around the country that have received a successful superannuation TPD claim, plus various other insurance and personal injury settlements. Andy partners with many personal injury law firms, legal associations, and insurance claims specialists. And his website provides free tools and information on the options and implications for Australians receiving these settlements. Andy was nominated as the FPA CFP of the Year in 2022 in recognition of his unique business and advocacy work. Welcome, Andy.
Thank you, Conrad. Thanks for having me.
Now, the reason I wanted Andy on here is I saw Andy speak at one of the FAAA roadshows, and I'm always keen to learn. And I found out I knew very little about the technical side of the claims process when it comes to TPD, and how it's paid to the client has big implications for clients. So that's why I thought I'd get Andy on just to talk about that a little bit more. But first of all, Andy, do you want to tell us a little bit about how you got into advice within the area of TPD claims?
Yeah, for sure. So, I've been in advice for maybe 20 years, probably fell into it a little bit. My father was a financial advisor, so that might have had an influence. And I started, I took a job at IPAC. So I'd been in the advice industry for a little while, working for a small practice that did more insurance, trying to get into financial planning. Went to IPAC just for a bit more structure. If people don't know, Paul Clitheroe's company. And they had a law sector division. So pretty early on there, I was an associate advisor to one of the main IPAC advisors who was doing a lot of personal injury work. And I quickly aligned with that side of the business. And we had a person who was the national head of law sector. So IPAC and Perpetual were probably the two businesses that were big in this space. And it fit really well with me. I think I had a bit of a family experience as well. My father had a massive stroke at 59, and I saw my mum have to take over everything and sort of have to figure out the finances, causing an already very stressful time. So I had a bit of personal experience that happened in my early 20s, and it was sort of what led me down the advice path. And then when this opportunity came up at IPAC, that fit really well with me. So I spent, probably 8 of my 10 years at IPAC, spending more than half my time working with personal injury clients. And that space was more the catastrophic injury, personal injury, common law settlement work. So people getting large settlements for motor vehicle accidents, medical negligence, public liability, workers' compensation. Some people might know, but there are specific rules around those types of settlements. You've got this 90-day rule where you can put an unlimited amount into super, start an income stream. That money will be tax-free earnings for life, all come out tax-free, and it's all excluded from any caps. And actually, IPAC, Perpetual, and some of these other businesses were involved with the legislation carve-outs as the rules have changed and transfer balance caps have come in. So we've all sort of been a part of that, making sure that personal injury recipients are protected. So during that time, we realised the TPD issues. I mean, TPD is just a bit of a minefield, right? People getting superannuation TPD claims into super have this big decision to make. They can pull out all their money, a portion, they can start an income stream like a retired Australian would. But if they're under 60, which most of them are, there's a whole range of financial implications. It's taxable. There's all these other implications of extra taxable income. There's things they can do strategically to eliminate that. So while I was at IPAC and then Perpetual, we saw this was an issue. It wasn't really their top focus. I think those firms are looking for the very large, personally multi-million-dollar settlements that they can provide long-term advice to these clients and families. Whereas the TPD space, the tax value is enormous, but the funds part is not always so big. So it was, then deciding that I think, there's just such a need here. There's such a gap. There's so many lawyers out there that are sending these pre-completed withdrawal forms to their clients who are ultimately just signing that withdrawal form without really any idea often of what tax they're going to pay and what these whole other range of implications will be. And so that's sort of how I came to do it. So I set up this business 6 years ago. That was always going to be the primary focus. Didn't know if that would generate enough work or if I'd still do some of the pre-retirement work or things, but it has absolutely been the primary focus, and here we are.
Yeah, it sounds obviously very technical and huge value add for these types of clients, and it sounds like it's a bit of a minefield for a lot of people, both advisors and clients. But are there maybe, it's probably hard to summarize this really because it's quite a technical area, but is there maybe two issues that you'd want to highlight for advisors that they should be aware of if they do have a client that's coming up for a claim?
Absolutely, yeah. So,
Yeah.
I think we've had some issues in the past. Not all super funds are the same, right? Some will just put that money straight into the person's account, straight into their default investment option. Would you invest hundreds of thousands of dollars, some cases millions, into a growth option on one day when that person has full access to their money? So I think being really clear that that's kind of the short-term issue. What type of fund are they in? Are they going to automatically invest? COVID was a big shake-up for a lot of these super funds. So pre-COVID, we reckoned it was roughly 50-50. We sort of try and track this across super funds. We've got a list of 90. Half of them were putting it in cash, letting the member decide, should it stay in cash or be invested? The other half were just automatically investing. The lady I spoke to this morning, her 100,000, she didn't even know her claim was approved. Her lawyer didn't tell her. She just checked her account and it was in there, So if advisors are using wrap accounts, same thing. Like, are there automatic buys on there? You don't want this big chunk of insurance hidden. Anyway, so that's sort of one issue, I think. And then the rest are quite flexible. You don't have to rush into a massive withdrawal. I've seen so many people that just thought they had to pull it out because, or they'd had enough of super and the TPD claim took them so long. They just want it out. They don't want to lose access again. And that's the other probably big issue. Don't just pull money out if it's especially larger amounts without understanding the tax. Is the fund getting the tax right? Are there other things they can do? Should they look at income streams? If they've got multiple super accounts, you can have completely different tax rates on each one because of this tax-free uplift formula, which looks at the eligible service date. So it's just, before they... A lot of these people I talk to are doing a partial withdrawal to keep them covered for the next few months and then give themselves some time and space to think about what they should do in the long term.
Sounds like there's really kind of deep implications on tax, but also Centrelink and a wide range of things to consider when thinking about strategies around this area rather than just ripping it out of super. But can you give the people listening maybe one sort of strategy as an example that you often recommend that could be helpful in this case?
Yeah, absolutely. So you're right. The the withdrawal. A lot of people talk to they're either very disappointed there's any tax on TPD or they're happy that it's not marginal rate. So the tax implications are big. If you pull that money out, there's a tax-free uplift. The taxable portion counts as taxable income, and it can impact a whole range of things. Certain family benefits, particularly, child support payments, Medicare. Like, there's all these things. Some people, unfortunately, have done this withdrawal and it's triggered the repayment of their $50,000 HEX debt. So there's all those things that it's good to just not be surprised when they do their tax return, right? Strategically, there are some. There's probably like 5 or 6 things we're always thinking about. There might be other things, but if you leave your super in the fund it's in, it stays in the taxable component. So most super funds will have a 12-month rule, some 18 months or 2 years, and they'll say any withdrawals you make in the next 12 months will apply the tax-free uplift and it will be fine. But after 12 months, your full balance should be fully unrestricted, non-preserved, and always accessible. But if you go to make a withdrawal after 12 months and still before 60, you're going to pay the 22% unless you can provide the 2 updated, permanent capacity medical certificates, which usually are the basic one page. So a lot of people might roll over in that 12 months, especially if they're thinking they might go back to work, especially if they had trouble getting the medicals. And doctors these days, you never know. Like, we try and help people with that process, and we've got cover letters for doctors to explain this isn't about an insurance payment. It's just a super condition. And it's really talking about capacity, not this, it gets grey when we get into definitions and can they never work again in any form. It's more about a capacity. Can they work again based on the education, training, experience? Anyway, sorry, Conrad, back to the start.
Okay.
This rollover also triggers the tax-free uplift. So something, and look, there are 2 funds out of the 90-ish that we track that lock it in right away. Most of them don't, because they only do the tax-free uplift on a super disability payment, which is a withdrawal or a rollover. So that rollover locks in the big tax-free amount. That person never needs medicals again. And for then a lot of people, it might be rolling straight into a super income stream if they don't have Centrelink concerns and means testing issues. Australians want to end up with a big bulk of their wealth in account-based pension because it's tax-free earnings. So these people, again, even if they don't need the income, they're likely to go into the full account-based pension up to their transfer balance cap. Then they have all this flexibility. If they don't need that income, pull the minimum at the end of the financial year. If they've got other income protection, work cover, they might make a deductible contribution. Some of these people have this one-off catch-up ability. They haven't been working for a few years. They might have not used their deductible. They haven't been able to afford to, but now they can. Well, they might have a working partner on a big income. So sometimes we're sort of, that end of financial year gets very busy, and sometimes whichever side of 30 June or 1 July a TPD hits might preclude them because that's put them over their $500,000 total super balance and can't do catch-ups. So anyway, the rollover, the account-based pension, that's pretty common, and then some other, peripheral strategies around that kind of
Amazing. Thank you for that. Well, look, if the listeners out there are like me, probably their heads are exploding right now. So thank you for that. It is, like I said before, a deeply technical area. And look, one thing I'd say to advisors out there, if you do have clients in this situation and you're not confident around the implications of this advice, I'd really strongly encourage you to get in touch with Andy and even provide a referral to specialist advisors who have the skills and abilities to advise on this area if you're not confident. So if that was the case, Andy, how would people get hold of you?
Yeah, we have a website, TPD Claims Advice. So I have sort of two company or brands. EFS Advice holds the license, but TPD Claims Advice is the website. So probably best to just go there, the contact us button. Heaps of free tools, and I can help people in lots of ways. So actually, a lot of my initial consultation service might be with accountants or other financial advisors who want to help their clients. Look, very happy to share all our tools and information. We have a free tax calculator, very, very heavily disclaimed because you've got to be careful with these things, and it can't cater for every scenario and untaxed schemes, and there's a few caveats in there. But we're always, sometimes I might just help people with the setup piece, right? So our business is very much tailored to this space. Some people just need the setup piece, and then they become much more like an ongoing client. And so advisors are very welcome to use us for what they need.
Amazing, and thank you so much for what you do for the broader community. It's very much appreciated, and thank you for your time today.
Thanks very much, comrade. Thanks for having me.